Well, greetings. It's Sunday. The Eye of God retreat just ended. I'm still like an hour and a half away from getting back. Had to detour, can't go to Sheboygan. I was going to head back to Fond du Lac instead. There was a major traffic jam. So I take it as a sign. Okay, maybe not supposed to do that. Let's go here. I found a nice little area to walk and do this talk. You know, this was a really good event for, I think, everybody involved. My apologies for the wind. It's always like this by the lake, you know. Oops. Let's get it all figured out here. All right. There we go. Things escalated pretty quickly with terms of temperature. It got cold. Well, here we are. Another transmission. Another workshop in the books. It really did felt like a Thanksgiving to me. And after, let's see, 19, 20, 22, after 2.5 years, I finally perfected the technique that I was working on for the first Spiritual Special Forces workshop. I wrote the manual. Ironically enough, it was over the course of several months. And I didn't even remember like half the stuff I was downloading when I wrote the manual. The manual is really deep, and it's really intuitive once you get it. However, to get it is another story. It's not necessarily like you can look at these pages and just get it. I was in really an altered consciousness when I wrote that. If you have ever tried like microdosing psilocybes, the psilocybin mushrooms, well, I was experimenting back in 2019 with, you know, the whole craze was all the microdosing. So you take the smallest amount of the psilocybes, and you don't get lucid, you don't get anything other than just kind of really comfortable. The colors get a little brighter. But for me, already being in that midbrain, it just popped open the intuitive ability to the point where I was seeing things. I was just seeing everything pouring forward. So I just sketched pages and pages and pages and pages and pages. And then I sent them into a graphic designer to have it all laid out into a manual and a booklet. It took me weeks to do this. And then I tried to deploy a lot of these understandings right after, and I must admit I was just a little frazzled at that workshop because of the news we got, you know, about this whole, you know, global pandemic that was coming, and this was all fresh and new to me, so it really threw me off my A game, so I couldn't really remember everything that I had just downloaded. Now, consequently, I did just intuitively remember. And that's what it's called, this Eye of God technique. This is what the individuals who came to the workshop just practiced and concluded this morning when we finished up. And the technique is called the Eye of God. What it allows you to do is it allows you to look at the repeat cyclical patterns that you play out in your human awareness and identify the sin of the flesh. You know, which one is it? In other words, what a sin of the flesh is it's a deficiency where God's truth is being obstructed by some human distortion. So the human distorted mind is projecting an illusory material sense, like clouding the screen of what God is doing in his perfect universe. What we can do with the Eye of God technique is we use a remote flow, which means no thinking involved. We just go into the knowing mind, into the intuitive faculty, and we pop the answer out. We go into an altered brainwave where we can immediately swap that program out for the new one. We confirm we got it, and then we reinforce it. And I had a really profound one myself. I allowed Michelle to do that for me. And, you know, I was humbly reading my own limiting human conceptual belief and what sin was there and swapping it out. Now I have to continue to walk in the newness of that new spirit. So I'm right now, I'm going to integrate a lot of that stuff. I'm going to integrate the teaching. This is like a decompression, integration / remembrance of what the heck were we just doing? Because I just realized that God just perfected that technique right through us in this workshop, and now I got it. Now the technique is perfected. It's ready, and it's pretty cool. It's super simple. And I'll probably be teaching more and working more on it and helping everyone use it, adapt to it, to learn it, to use it, deploy it. And I'll be doing that through our private Discord group, our Spiritual Special Forces Discord group. Cute little girl walking the street. And I'll try to walk you guys through it as best as possible through the interface of Zoom. And if you didn't notice already, I released the day 1 teaching of Spiritual Special Forces. Already it has a picture of Will playing his guitar. We had a Thanksgiving type celebration with our core group. Our core group consisted of 8, and we did the power of 8. We did the 4 sessions. We had people joining us from everywhere, all over the world. Literally, several people were joining in from different parts of the world, and we did our work. And I consider that's our work for God. That's our collective meditation, our revelation. We're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to do that work as things go forward. And then we're also going to be able to individually work with each other and work with ourselves on our own human distortions that have to be cleaned up and cast out of our lives. So it's pretty cool. This is a new area for me, so you have to forgive me. I'm in the flow, but I'm also integrating, so it may be a little choppy on this one. I'm running 2 different programs here. One program, I'm conversing through the flow state, just allowing this to come through. And on the other program, I am just, integrating and downloading, and everything is clicking now. Everything's clicking. We did it. We deployed the asset. We got our work completed. We completed our mission. And we also got the revelation of the breakthrough that was the perfecting of the Eye of God technique. I really do want you guys to learn this. EffectiveLoving.com will get you into that Discord group, and you join our live Zoom sessions that we will begin again this Wednesday, and then continuing on Wednesdays and Sundays. And the schedules are on the link, #livestream. Just check that out in the private Discord group that you'll get invited to. Come on and learn the technique. It will change your life. Forgive my French, it's a badass technique. It literally is badass. It puts efficiency into your clarity and focus game. Because without clarity and focus, you don't have a proven plan of action. You have scattered, chaotic, unfocused attention. But if I can help you nail down a pattern that's playing out and understand why you're playing it out, understand what to do to replace and turn it around, and how to reinforce it so that you can sustain the newness, well, now I've given you clarity and a proven plan of action that will produce a harvest that you desire. And that's the secret. All you've ever been saying is this: God, just show me what to do, give me some clarity, put me on the right track, and I'll give it my all. You've been saying that for a long time. I can show you exactly how to do that. I can show you how to get on the right track by looking at what the scripture says, identifying within yourself through this technique what to do about it, and get yourself moving forward and succeeding. And it really is in your best interest to learn this. And not only that, but if you're trying to make income and do things for yourself, I don't advocate you rip off my branding and my technique or use any of the things that I do, but I can equip you and I can show you how to do this. And you can, if you give credit back to our ministry and say, hey, I learned this through Allow Ministry, Spiritual Special Forces, if you like this, check out their work, but I can show you this technique. I don't mind you sharing it. I would love for you to share it. I just don't like it when people take all the knowledge and then, try to repackage it all as their own. If you're going to do that, well, you got to make it your own. You got to change it and do some new stuff. But I wouldn't recommend changing anything about it until you do it for yourself, because I've been perfecting this technique for 3 years. So since I've been perfecting it for 3 years, I've had a lot of time in my think tank, in all of my meditative reflexing on this world, instead of call it reflecting, I'm reflexing on it, because I know the world is an imposition upon divine thought, so I'm flexing truth upon it. If you can just bear with the process long enough to stick it out till the end, and if you're looking for a magic wand, you're in the wrong place. Only a fool would look for a magic wand, because if somebody buries themselves in the ditch and you drag them out, well, what's to prevent them from burying themselves in the ditch every other day? What I'm going to show you how to do is how to see what is driving you to bury yourself in the ditch so that it ends. It's over. And actually, I'll just keep walking. We're on some nice path here. You can see how pretty this is. It's very pretty, the tree colors and everything. I'll just keep going. I'm going to show you how to do that. And, rightfully so, if I really wanted to be like all professional about it, I'd charge you $500 and I'd make you come and learn it live in a one-day workshop. I would. Why wouldn't I? Well, because we run a ministry and because you have the opportunity to sow into our ministry and prosper by giving to the work of God and receiving the benefit of that. I've done dozens of talks on tithing already, and you can sow into this ministry if you want to get the benefit of the value you're about to receive. That's how you unlock value. So I'll talk about that right now. I did a workshop called The Big Idea, and in that, what happened was, hi there, I got the big idea, and the big idea got me. The big idea found me. But don't enter a new chapter without planting something to sow your faith into. You can't just think that, I'm a good person, and so therefore I should be getting all the benefits of what God has to offer. If you think that, you really don't understand how the nature of your 3D life plays out. It's almost like you can get so spiritually minded that you know earthly good at some point. I don't teach that in my ministry. I don't want you to think that. That's not useful to you. That's like saying, I don't have to do anything ever again because I know that I'm one with God, therefore I'm just going to do nothing. And I'm going to let God do everything for me. Because that's not understanding God at all. God is the source of all giving, all abundance. So therefore, you want to get busy. You want to be productive. You want to be efficient. You want to be maximizing your time and energy and output because you want to give the most benefit to this world as you possibly can. Give of your money, give of your time, give of your talents, and seek to be the best in the world at what you do. Don't seek for laziness at all. I just want to clarify that. And I know that people that follow this ministry don't get it misconstrued. I am not going to sit here and tell you to go for 5 hours and think you're going to all of a sudden become a millionaire. That's ridiculous. They say, well, the people in the East can do it. You know, those yogis can do it. I'm like, and you think they got there by being lazy? I think the mental discipline that they took to get there would probably outmatch any amount of effort that even the hardest iron mill worker back in the decades ago would have done. Okay? You would probably be finding it easier to go break your back with labor all day than to do the mental work required to become one of them, to make it look as easy as they do. Because it requires 24-hour discipline of your thoughts to even remotely get access to any of that consciousness. And if you think that's an easy job, well, then you don't understand why we call this spiritual special forces. Because the average person, they read the Bible, maybe not. They think that they know what being a good person is. Well, that's okay. That's good to know. They probably are morally right most of the time. That's fine. But they still have yet to discover that the entire world must be held captive and upheld and scrutinized with truth, moment by moment by moment by moment by moment by moment by moment. In other words, you have to be on watchful duty all day, every day, lest you fall asleep and stumble upon a rock. Because you will. Because that world mind doesn't stop just because you do. And those seers, those yogis, those mystics, those sages, I got news for you. They do put in the work, and they really have earned their consciousness that they demonstrate to make it look that easy. Okay? Yes, when you're really, really, really good, you make it look that easy. And the mistake that the amateur in their spiritual walk makes is to think that just because they hear a divine idea or they read it, that they actually understand it. They don't. The only way to understand something is to live from it, to express it, and then to be the source of it in this world. That's it. Let's say you want to be wealthy. Well, here's your thing. You're like, well, okay, Malachi 3:10. If I bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse and prove me now herewith, say the Lord of hosts, that I shall not blah, 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 blah. They hear it, right? Okay, fine. And then, they sow a seed of faith, right? And then they're just kind of like, I did that. I did that. I don't know. I didn't do much. Yeah, you know what? In fact, it did something. I don't really remember what, but I wouldn't say it was a bad idea. That's not knowledge. That's foreplay. That's spiritual foreplay. Okay, that's the beginning of spiritual foreplay, and then it fizzles out and it becomes nothing. What it has to be is oh, this spiritual idea, I'm going to own it. This is my spiritual idea. That's why we built our whole ministry on the 3-2-1 prosperity formula. I took just a couple core ideas and built the whole thing on them because those are ones I mastered. In other words, I lived them day in and day out, and I scrutinized every human appearance according to those 3 things and made sure that I was deploying those 3 things, even if the results didn't seem to be instant or what I expected. I just kept doing it and 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 doing it. And when it didn't seem to work, I doubled down on it. Now, why would I do something so silly like that? Because I know something. I know that the human dream, albeit an illusion, is a very persistent illusion. And unless I stand my ground, and unless I have the fortitude to press through with all my might, I know that I won't earn the prize, because it's not given to those who are just spiritual seekers. It's not just handed over to spiritual enthusiasts. They get glimpses of it. It is only obtained, and the crown of glory is placed on the heads of those who are dedicated and committed with their whole lives to the principal idea that they are seeking to demonstrate. They dedicate their lives to the idea. That means, come hell or high water, they're going down believing. That's it. And that attitude, now you call that radical attitude. There's a great book called Radical Reliance on God that I read from time to time. That's the exact attitude that unlocks your faith. That's the exact attitude that builds a bridge of trust. That's the exact attitude that puts you in to the grace of God because of your all-pervading heart. Because it doesn't just stay in your head at that point. The knowledge goes from the head to the heart. And when the knowledge gets into your heart, and you refuse to quit, and you refuse to back down, and you're willing to go down believing in God, there's something about that that just activates God's heart for you. It activates the windows of change. It activates the new chapter to open. It cultivates its own courage within itself to become manifest through you, because you're leaning on strength upon strength, which is the power of the living word. And the power of the living word supplants your human weakness with immutable strength. And then you become strong on behalf of the Lord. And that's when mighty things start to come from tiny actions, and you start to make it look so simple. And everybody misconstrues it, and they think, well, all I gotta do is what it looks like they're doing. And they don't even realize what you're actually doing behind the scenes. They don't realize how committed you are. And that's the difference between spiritual special forces and your average clergy. If you want spiritual special forces, come and train with us. Come and give your life to the principle and walk the uncommon path. Because if you want uncommon results, you have to be uncommon for God. Selah.